Ringleader of massive theft ring, Bernard Lane, arrested in Texas after stealing $300K from Target. He has nearly 70 prior arrests and 36 convictions. And he was out of jail on a $1 bond after allegedly choking and threatening to kill someone. How in the fuck is Goofy McPuttyface over here? 70 prior arrests. $1 bond. What the fuck even? I don't even know what to say about this. This is just absurd. Like, the more I look at anything criminal related in the news, it just seems to get more insane than the last thing that I read. Why is he running around free? Because our justice system is a literal fucking joke. I feel as if bonds should be higher than your number of convictions. Stealing 300K is bad, but also kind of impressive. It's very impressive considering this person does not look like there's anything going on inside their head. And they managed to steal $300,000 worth of shit from Target. Like, that's kind of impressive. Plot twist, it's 300K worth of Labubu. I don't think you can buy a Labubu in a Target. I haven't been in a Target since Labubu have existed, but I feel like you probably can't buy them there. A Pakistani migrant who was deported after impregnating a 16-year-old schoolgirl and wedding her in a sham marriage applies for a family visa to return to Britain. I'm sure he'll be let back in because Britain's not a real country anymore. But the title just... the title makes you want to have hope for the country not letting him back in. A Pakistani asylum seeker who was jailed for using a sham marriage with a teenage girl to bag British citizenship has wed her again in a fresh bid to live in the UK. 9 years ago, Nasir Khalil, 48, was jailed after he duped a Slovakian child into traveling to Britain for Nikah, a Muslim wedding ceremony just 4 days after she turned 16. Can I ask how a Slovakian child was duped by a Muslim Pakistani living in Britain? I'm used to like the British and the Turkish living in Britain getting taken advantage of by like Chinese fake women. But like, what is this? Had children with the young girl before and after his 15-month prison stint while living in Rochdale, Greater Manchester. Following a trial, a jury concluded he was part of a mail-order gang which purchased women living in the European Union. The crooks would then use the women to defraud the Home Office with claims their new spouses had a legal right to remain in the UK. How does that work? How does that work? I don't know how the European Union works in its entirety. And I could have sworn, like, Brexit happened, right? So, like, the UK pulled out of the EU at some point. I guess this must have been before it. But if the women aren't born in the UK and you purchase a woman from Slovakia and you bring her to the UK, how do you make the argument that this Slovakian woman is entitled to live in the UK and thus you should also get a visa for the UK? How does that work? That doesn't make sense to me. In 2019, Khalil was deported to his homeland. However, the year after he married the Slovakian woman who was 23 at the time. So he duped a Slovakian child into traveling to Britain just 4 days after she was 16. And then when he was finally deported, it was a year after he married her and she was 23 when he was deported. This timeline's a little weird to me. They wed after she had been given indefinite leave to remain in Britain with their children. I don't know. I didn't think that Britain had birthright citizenship. I'm glad that Trump is going to be considering ending it here because it shouldn't be a thing in the US either. But I don't think even in the US, where we had an actual birthright citizenship and people would come here to pop out anchor babies, would a Slovakian woman and a Pakistani man be able to come to the US and have a child and that child be American? So how does that work in the UK, where I don't think they even have that thing? They don't. Indefinite leave to remain means a bureaucrat approved her residence. Why would they do this? It's not citizenship, it's human rights. Actually, no, I correct myself. That would work in the US. If you're a Pakistani man and a Slovakian woman and you come to the US and you shit out a baby, you would be given... your child would be considered an American for some reason. Why is our system like this? Since, his lawyers have issued a fresh application to the Home Office in a bid to return to the UK via a family visa. It comes as Khalil's 13-year campaign was laid bare following a judgment issued by the upper tribunal, the respective appeal court for cases relating to asylum seekers. The Pakistani man utilized the legal system in several ways to attempt to stay on British shores. Now, immigration judges and former conservative home secretaries have agreed with his claims of being in a loving and stable relationship. Why does everyone in a position of power in a Western country love pedophilia? Like, I just... Can someone make this make sense to me? Even though the woman, who is his visa sponsor, is 2 decades younger than him and was also a victim of his crimes as a child. The latest ruling means he can be named, however. His wife has been given anonymity by the courts. In another surprising turn of events legally, Khalil's lawyers allege he was eligible for a residence card due to his wife being a European Economic Area national via EU treaty rights. So is the European Union just like a giant scam to be able to give people with no rights to any European country the ability to live there? I just like, what even is this? Yes? Talk about sugar daddying. I mean, she's the sugar, to be fair, because she's the thing keeping him in the country. The judge denied this bid, meaning his legal representatives only have one other option, his pending application for a family visa. Khalil first landed in Britain to allegedly visit family in Rochdale in 2012. Despite initially being denied entry clearance, was permitted to stay for a short time. But he didn't leave the UK, and he overstayed beyond his allotted time. He then said he had to divorce his wife, who was in his home country of Pakistan, before carrying out an Islamic marriage with a schoolgirl in November 2013. Why would you want this guy in your country? He divorced his normal wife back in his home country to seek out a way to leech off of a Western country, and the way to do so was to marry and impregnate a minor. This does not sound like an engineer or a doctor to me. I just like, what? He's playing Pokewoman. The judge overseeing his case found the Slovakian teenager had received little or no instruction before being religiously converted to Islam, as well as the wedding being carried out in a language she did not comprehend. Give this guy a family visa! Immigration judges and former conservative home secretaries have agreed with his claims of being in a loving and stable relationship. Yeah, having a wedding ceremony in a language I can't understand. Very loving, actually. It was heard how Khalil then attempted to use the young girl to insist he had a legal right to stay in Britain, citing freedom of movement laws within the European Union. The following year, when he was arrested, he made another bid for an extended family residence card because his teenage spouse had given birth. However, the application was rejected on 2 separate occasions because Khalil had not given the required biometric information. He previously argued against his deportation to Pakistan in 2016, claiming he feared the Taliban in Pakistan. Can we stop believing these people? Can we actually enact rule of law and order in our countries without someone being like, I am afraid of something in my country. Whether the fear is legitimate or not, I'm going to tell you that because I know you'll take pity on me. BS solicitors who have taken up the case have told The Telegraph that his most recent bid for a family visa was based on a new, legitimate marriage. They also said the application was with the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. The Home Office has been approached for comment. I like how they're called BS solicitors, because that's what they are. Oh, God, I'm sure all the comments are going to be like, no, show 995 more comments. Worst rated. Deportations have doubled, net migration has halved since Labour came to power. Unreported in the Daily Make It Up, of course. Yeah, we have a lot of deportations recently as well, but how many millions of illegals were allowed in before we started cleaning up, man? What did they mean by this? And to give you an idea of how bad it is in Germany, a friend of yours was taken to court simply because he tweeted the slogan for AfD. And even after getting abdicated, the state is still trying to prosecute him for it. It's always funny to me when Europeans think that their countries have freedom of speech. New Jersey's school board race has been shaken up by a vile text attacking a conservative mom and her body. This bitch needs to die. A New Jersey school board candidate was caught red-handed sending vicious sexual messages about a conservative female board member in a group labeled, "This bitch needs to die." Photos of Scott Samaya's vile text about Danielle Belomo at a July school board meeting leaked this week on social media. The widening scandal is now being investigated by local cops enrolling the affluent suburb of Marlborough. Belomo must be cold. Her nips could cut glass right now, read one text, allegedly captured on camera, while Semenya's fingers typed an O. Why would you say that? Why is it that, like, every single one of these people on the left is always, like, some absolutely deranged, violence-loving lunatic? Outrage was immediate, and Samaya this week dropped out of the race for the Marlborough Board of Education, followed by his running mate, Melissa Goldberg. You know, I'm actually really surprised he dropped out. I mean, Jay Jones didn't drop out. Why did this guy? He probably would have actually won the seat, let's be honest. The scandal in the leafy Monmouth County enclave has drawn parallels to the recent controversy in Virginia, where Attorney General candidate Jay Jones was recently outed for a 2022 text message suggesting the state's then Republican House Speaker deserved to be shot in the head. It was absolutely terrifying, Belomo exclusively told the Post. When I found out about the messages, I was absolutely shocked, especially with the climate of our country. It sends chills down my spine. Belomo, 38, is a MAGA-loving President Trump-supporting mom of 3 and staunch Republican, who poses in a star-spangled bikini for her Facebook profile picture. She believes she has been targeted for her politics. She said, "I am a proud and unapologetic advocate for parental rights, for my children, for our town and our state, and for that, they have this hate for me." Samaya, 38, an accountant who has voiced progressive liberal views, was one of 5 candidates running for 3 open seats in the Marlborough Board of Education. He cited only family circumstances in announcing his exit from the race. He did not return multiple messages seeking comment. So he wasn't even apologetic for what he said. He literally just tried to quietly step down. I hate this. My whole family has been affected by it, Belomo said, noting her older son, 12, was likely to see the nasty text. Ironically, Belomo was once Samaya's daughter's Girl Scouts leader. That is ironic. "This is heartbreaking for me," she said. "This is what he was thinking when I was volunteering with his children. It's a hard pill to swallow." Belomo, who is serving her first full 3-year term on the board, said she's been subjected to months of online threats and made several police reports. While the social media post about the "this bitch needs to die" group text included just a single shot of Samaya's cell phone, Belomo said she's seen several other messages of the messages exchanged by the group, including very specific actions that they want to do to me and what their intention is. That's a nice bikini. "These text messages are the first time I was able to see they don't want me alive," she added, declining to share the additional messages. Well, I think she shouldn't have declined to show the additional messages. Right, I think she should have shown them. There's no reason not to show them. Belomo said she has a protective order against one person allegedly in the group chat, Milesh Gandhi, whose wife is a board member. Gandhi declined to comment and referred to the post to his lawyer, who said he was moving to dismiss the protective order. That's crazy! Fucking Republican woman gets on a school board. Progressive leftist man immediately sexualizes her and wishes for her death. Indian man has a restraining order on him, and he's trying to get the restraining order dropped. This is literally like poll shitposting manifest in real life. The vicious group chat was believed to be comprised of 5 men. If the internet has taught me anything, it's that men gossip even more than women do. Allegedly included Chad Hyatt, current Marlborough School Board Vice President, according to a source. Many in the town of 41,000 are now calling for Hyatt's resignation. Hyatt, who in December filed a school ethics commission complaint against Belomo after she posted part of a board email on social media, did not return a message. The commission did not substantiate Hyatt's complaint. Belomo claimed Marlborough School Superintendent Michael Ballone would not provide protection at a board meeting this week after the text message controversy erupted. If I was in her position, I would legitimately feel afraid to go to these meetings. Like, knowing there was a group chat of people from the school board that wanted me dead, I would absolutely not feel safe going there myself. The district takes the safety and security of all members of our school community very seriously, Balione said. We have an invaluable relationship with our local police department who attends our Board of Education meetings. This upcoming meeting will be no different. Marlborough's Democratic Mayor Jonathan Hornick condemned the messages as completely unacceptable, adding, "Those responsible are clearly not equipped to hold public office." Violence and threats of violence against public officials are seemingly becoming normalized, he said in a statement. In only a few months' time, we have witnessed an alarming escalation in this type of behavior to an extreme, culminating in the murders of Minnesota Representative Melissa Hortman and activist Charlie Kirk. This must stop. Yes. Melissa Goldberg saying, I'm officially withdrawing my run for the Marlborough School Board. I am aware the ballot cannot be changed. However, I would like to give a statement that if I do win, I will not accept the seat. I'm grateful for everyone I have met. I currently cannot commit to this role in addition to my other responsibilities. I wish they would have, like, I don't know, taken responsibility for having this hate group. It's really weird to have an entire group chat based on wishing one person fucking dead. Meanwhile, the sleepy town of Marlborough, where the average home is priced at $850,000! These are a bunch of well-off, affluent fuckwits who have nothing better to do than make group chats about wishing a woman with ice-cutting nipples dead. Like, what the fuck? This guy presents himself as a father and a family man to the public, only to then conduct himself like a pervert and criminal on a group chat during a BOE meeting. Wrote farmer board member Aldo Petruno of Samaya. This is disgusting on every level, another online commenter said. These grown men need to be arrested for threats on one's life, another wrote on Instagram. Samaya and Goldberg were running on a purportedly apolitical slate called Collaborators for Responsible Education, or CORE. The third candidate on the slate, longtime incumbent Michael Lilonsky, remains in the race. He did not return a message. Goldberg told New Jersey's Patch.com she was abandoning her bid for the board because she currently cannot commit to this role in addition to her other responsibilities. I'm pretty sure that's just a flake so that she can pull out without having to apologize for anything. Group chat like that sounds like the shit the rich kids would do in your neighborhood like 15 years ago. Yeah, it's kinda stupid. It's kinda ridiculous. Like, I could imagine kids doing a group chat like that, and they should be rightfully punished for it because you can't go into adulthood thinking that a group chat wishing someone dead is okay to do. The OHSU hospital in Portland has been forced to divert medevac helicopters due to the fear of laser assaults by leftist militants tonight. Antifa is now terrorizing hospitals. This is why we need the National Guard in Portland now. I really miss the America that said we don't negotiate with terrorists, man. What is this? As you grow more spine, do you also grow more tail? I wonder if that's how that works. There's a poster here that says, "You're invited, laser tag!" Every night for weeks, we are forced to listen to the threatening rhythm of helicopter blades as the federal regime spies on us. I got some bad news if you think the federal government is only spying on you via helicopters. I got some bad news about them there phones in your pocket, buddy. The only limit power knows is our refusal to submit. This Saturday, October 11th at 9 p.m., you're invited to fight back. All you need is a laser. Leave home, they can see where the laser's coming from, go to a park, field, or some other public place, and once the clock strikes 9, unleash your beam at the copter. Mask up, coordinate with friends to throw a laser party. Let's take back the night together. It won't take many of us to ground the helicopters. And then they got, I don't know, some laser picture here, question mark. I don't know what that's from. And then the helicopter picture. A little helicopter picture here. Use a street cam and find who put this up. A laser into aircraft is a serious crime, and even putting a flyer telling people to commit said crime is a serious crime. Yeah, these people just seem like they lack any kind of functioning ability to brain think. Do the numbnuts know if they laser a military helicopter, they do have countermeasures on them? I didn't know they had countermeasures, but that would be funny. A big news for every Twitch user. It was discovered and confirmed by Twitch employees that if you watch more than 2 streams at the same time, you're not being counted as a viewer. TLDR, watch a maximum of 2 streams if you want to count as a viewer and help the streamer. And they have a little red box around this part of a message put out by Twitch NA Partners account on Discord, where it says, for years, we've counted a limited number of sessions per IP address towards viewer count. If you have a lot of streams, more than a normal viewer could reasonably watch, open in many different tabs, our systems may determine you're not actively watching, and you will not be counted in any of those streams as a viewer. And I think the 2 streams thing was from years ago when they first set up this thing, and they mentioned that they were doing it to try and prevent people from, like, botting or some shit. This Twitch thing was just a really quick thing to point out, I guess, what's been happening. Depending on where you are, public IP can sometimes be shared across multiple homes. I didn't know that IP could be shared across multiple homes. That's kind of scary. Brother, what? Like, I had seen that they're wearing, like, these blow-up animal costumes and shit so that it looks more family-friendly and, like, less people think of it as a riot. You know, it's an optics thing. But this is kind of weird. The bride, resplendent in a unicorn outfit, and the groom, dressed as Kenny from South Park, walked down the aisle. In reality, a sidewalk across from the U.S. ICE building in Portland in front of a crowd of about 30 onlookers. Costumed brigades of protesters were out in force again Friday night at the U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement building in South Portland. And at about 7 p.m., they rolled out a red carpet for an actual wedding. The bride, in a unicorn outfit, and the groom, dressed as Kenny from South Park, tied the knot in front of a crowd of about 30 onlookers, some decked out in Care Bear and pickle costumes. I feel like this is really gross. Not because it's progressives getting married in front of an ICE building during a protest, but because they're getting married in animal costumes. Like, it just kind of makes a mockery of the entire institution of marriage. And, like, even if you're not religious, you should still treat marriage like a serious thing, in my opinion. The betrothed Portland couple who arrived and departed the scene by motorcycle declined to be identified by name. They said they'd known each other for 2 decades and started dating more recently. Oh, it's just like that financial audit couple. And decided to get hitched on site to bring some joy and fun to a dark time. We've been together for 2 years and my partner is very passionate about the protesting, the groom told a reporter. Oh God. Maybe it just is that couple that was on financial audit. People can be fun-loving people and still protest. We wanted to show that this is about love and caring. We're caring for other human beings. No. Protesters have been a near constant outside the ICE facility since June, and attention has only increased since President Donald Trump last month announced plans to send in federal troops to stand guard. Some protesters have responded by showing up in costume and dancing, prompting late-night TV hosts and others to mock Trump's description of Portland as a war-ravaged city. Again, it's just for optics. It is a war-ravaged city. It is filled with people who are causing everyone there to have to deal with all their bullshit. Like, nobody wants these riots. Nobody wants these clashes. Why are you stopping federal officers from deporting people illegally here? They're just so heckin' wholesome, you guys. That set the stage and perhaps drew even more attention to Friday night's nuptials. A Portland State University student who identified themselves as Clover and their partner Rowan, those are very Portland names, a student at Mount Hood Community College, were among the impromptu crowd invited to celebrate the union, which took place on the sidewalk opposite the federal facility. They'd come dressed as pickles. You get invited to the wedding, you show up, Clover said. These do look like interesting individuals. Heavy rain soaked the party. This is Portland, the bride said, but didn't dampen spirits. As the ceremony began, the normally noisy crowd of nearby protesters settled down. A boombox playing loud music was silenced. Bubbles flew in the air as the groom, his best man, his son dressed as Eric Cartman from South Park, the bride and the maid of honor, the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters, walked down the red carpet. It was lined on both sides with pictures of the happy couple, their faces covered by stickers to preserve their anonymity. I'm gonna be real with you. If it's my wedding, I kind of want my face to be visible. Maybe, you know? The couple said their ordained minister, decked out in a costume suit and a giant rabbit head, was a friend. They knew a total of 5 people at their wedding, including the bride's half-aunt dressed as Garfield. I hate reading this. In all, costumes, helium balloons, and ring pop ring sets set them back $500 to $600, they said. Across the street, 4 or 5 federal officers took in the scene from the ICE building's roof. The only interruption during the ceremony was a loud announcement that bellowed from a loudspeaker at the federal facility, warning protesters not to block the driveway. How many people after this do you think said, wow, it's just like I was in The Handmaid's Tale? It feels like we were in The Handmaid's Tale. We're really doing something here. Portland is just Reddit at this point. It's just, if Reddit were to make a town, it would be Portland. That's a hell of a cheap wedding, $600. Yeah, I can't imagine anything in my life I would spend more money on besides a house than, like, my wedding. Not that I'm gonna spend, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars on a wedding, but it's just the nature of a wedding is going to cost money. I don't want to have some, like, inflatable costume wedding. I want to have, like, a nice family wedding. This illegal alien monster repeatedly raped an 11-year-old girl in her own home after being hired to renovate her family's bathroom. The Biden administration previously marked him as a non-enforcement priority, allowing him to roam free and prey on innocent children. These are the types of depraved criminals our brave ICE Gov law enforcement officials are arresting and removing from America every single day. Illegal immigrant gets 30 years for raping 11-year-old Virginia girl multiple times. An illegal immigrant from El Salvador has been sentenced to 30 years for repeatedly raping an 11-year-old girl in Virginia Beach, local officials said on Wednesday. The Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office shared Ricardo Leonel Meja's custody status on X and cited numerous public inquiries about Meja's case. Meja, a citizen of El Salvador, will serve his 30-year sentence at the Virginia Department of Corrections before being transferred to ICE custody. The case has sparked debate among Virginia's leaders who are now disputing whether the state should limit cooperation with federal immigration authorities. It shouldn't really spark debate. It should just be yeah, these people shouldn't be here. What do you mean? Democratic gubernatorial candidate Abigail Spanberger says that one of her first acts in office would be to reverse Governor Glenn Youngkin's immigration enforcement policies, making Virginia a sanctuary state, according to the Republican Governors Association. This policy would prevent local law enforcement from assisting U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in cases like Meja's, where ICE has issued a detainer for an undocumented immigrant convicted of serious crimes. But why would you want to do this? Why would this be something that you desire? Why do these people want to protect rapists? I don't get it. I don't what drives you to take this position? It doesn't make any sense. And again, Abigail Spanberger has also put her support behind Jay Jones, who wants to see Republicans killed. So, maybe because they want us dead and our children raped. Sam Hyde quote, literally evergreen. Virginia GOP governor candidate Winsome Earl Sears reacted by sharing a post on X and said she was sickened beyond words. Meja, 35, was convicted of multiple counts of raping a child under 13, indecent liberties with a minor, and statutory burglary after pleading guilty in Virginia Beach Circuit Court, according to documents seen by Fox News Digital. The assaults happened in 2024 when Meja was hired to renovate a family's bathroom. The abuse came to light when the victim's mother discovered him in her daughter's bed after forcing open a locked door with a butter knife. I'm actually shocked the father didn't murder the guy on the spot, to be fair. Meja fled the home through a window but was later identified and arrested. ICE confirmed Meja was in the country illegally and has issued a detainer. Following his sentence at the Virginia Department of Corrections, ICE said he will be transferred to custody for further proceedings. During his sentencing, Meja apologized to the victim, saying, "I know I'm not the only one experiencing hard times. I'm sorry for the pain she is going through in this process." That doesn't even sound like an apology to the victim! That sounds like him victimizing himself. And what do you mean you're sorry for the pain she's going through? You caused it multiple times. I hate other human beings. Chad, I'm gonna glow. That's not a human, that's a demon, truly. Records show Meja was booked into the Virginia Beach Correctional Center on October 9th, and they reached out to the sheriff's office for further comment. Yeah, I just think that anyone advocating for these, sanctuary policies, no one normal should be voting for them. Decision that deemed doctor fit to practice after removing ovaries without consent to be appealed. The UK's General Medical Council will appeal a tribunal decision in the case of a doctor who removed Guernsey patients' ovaries without consent. Dr. Ali Shoka Amiri, who currently practices at Southend Hospital, was proven to have carried out 24 instances of inappropriate behavior from more than 100 allegations following the Medical Practitioners Tribunal. The proven allegations included removing the ovaries of 2 patients without consent, kissing and hugging another patient on 2 separate occasions, and performing multiple intimate examinations without a chaperone present. However, the tribunal ruled that the doctor's fitness to practice was not impaired and instead issued a warning. I feel like even if we remove the kissing and the hugging and performing intimate examinations without a chaperone, he removed ovaries of 2 women without their consent. That alone should get his license revoked and he should never be able to practice again. That's fucking wild. He sterilized 2 women. For what reason? With no consent. His ability to practice should be impaired by his imprisonment. Yeah, how is he not just in jail for doing this? What is going on in England? Now, a GMC panel found that the tribunal's determinations of Dr. Shoko Amiri's case appeared to have a number of flaws, leading to an outcome that was insufficient to protect the public. The panel acknowledged that the case was complex, but concluded it was very difficult to understand the MPT's reasoning for reaching their findings. The GMC also said the MPT was dismissive of patient testimonies, adding there were clear examples where the evidence did not support the tribunal's findings. The appeal will be heard at the High Court with timings to be confirmed. 6 patients were the subject of allegations of inappropriate behavior relating to Dr. Shoko Amiri's work in Guernsey's Princess Elizabeth Hospital between 2017 and 2018. In their ruling, the MPT service stated that the gynecologist had shown good insight into his failures and put in place procedures and actions to address his failings to ensure they do not happen again. No, not good enough. I don't care. There is nothing he can say that should make it so that he can practice in medicine ever again. He should have his license revoked and his career ruined, and he should be in prison. Following the result, an online petition garnered more than 22,000 signatures calling for Dr. Shoko Amiri's medical license to be revoked. Christine Blanchard, Chief Medical Officer at the Mid and South Essex NHS Foundation Trust, where Dr. Shoko Amiri is now employed, previously said, "We have confidence that he will continue to provide high-quality, safe care for our patients." I need to see if this woman has children. Hold on a second. This woman is a mother of 3 and thinks it's perfectly fine for this guy to practice medicine after sterilizing 2 women, medically removing their ovaries without their consent. And this woman's fine with it. This is just evil. At the time, a spokesperson added, "We understand the strength of feeling about this case and want to reassure women that we always have safeguarding procedures in place. Genuinely, I would not feel safe as a woman going to a gynecologist under the NHS. Not just sterilized, but on hormones for decades." Yeah, they didn't even tell us the ages of these women. So we don't even, like, they could be young. Dr. Steve Evans, chair of Guernsey's medical specialist group, not that it would be less bad if it was an older woman, but it's like, if you sterilize like a 19-year-old, they had their entire life to have children. So it just like adds, like, it's horrific and terrible in both cases. But when it's someone younger, it just makes me feel like, holy fuck, you took this woman's entire life away at this point. Dr. Steve Evans, chair of Guernsey's medical specialist group, who Dr. Shoko Amiri worked for during his time on the island, said, "After reading through the GMC's reason for appeal, we can understand why it is happening, and we look forward to the outcome. I would like to say again that we're truly sorry for any harm or distress suffered by women at the MSG while under the care of Mr. Shoko Amiri, and to emphasize that we took immediate action to exclude him from seeing patients as soon as we learned of the allegations against him." Yeah, but you're still letting him practice, so it didn't mean shit. Like, he's had over 100 allegations, 24 at a minimum have been confirmed. Like, how is this guy still allowed to practice? At a bare minimum, he should have his license revoked, and he should absolutely be serving jail time for this. You have sexual assault, you have physical assault, you have doing things without consent, you have sterilizing 2 women without consent. They can't revoke his medical license because he's the poster child for "we need more foreign doctors." What the hell, man? What the hell? Norwegian doctor jailed for raping patients. Hell yeah! That's what should happen. A court in Norway has sentenced the doctor to 21 years in prison for the rape and sexual abuse of dozens of women in a case that has shocked the Scandinavian country. Former GP Arne Bai was convicted of 70 counts of rape and sexual assault. He was also convicted of 82 counts of abusing his position as a doctor, Norwegian media reports. That seems a little low. 70 rapes, 82 counts of abusing his position, only 21 years? That seems a little low for 70 rape. Nearly all the offenses took place during medical examinations that Bai carried out on his patients while he worked as a physician in the small town of Frosta, a tiny community of fewer than 3,000 residents near Trondheim on the west coast of Norway. Bai was also banned from practicing medicine in order to pay compensation. The court has deliberated over a lengthy indictment which included allegations spanning nearly 2 decades relating to 94 women, according to Norwegian media. Bai pleaded guilty to some of the crimes and was also acquitted on a number of the charges. Addressing the court in Trondheim on Friday, Judge Espen Haug said the case was very serious and described Bai's actions as absolutely unacceptable. The defendant's action happened in a place and setting where people are supposed to feel safe. His actions have undermined public trust in the health service as well as doctors in general, Judge Haug had said. The 55-year-old defendant stood on his feet, appearing calm and unmoved as the maximum sentence — that was the maximum, bro, what the fuck — was handed down. The courtroom was then asked to sit as it took more than an hour for the judgment to be read out. Health authorities had first alerted the police to the concerns about Bai in August 2022, and he was charged a year later. Bai had secretly installed a camera in his office, Norwegian media reports. Police uncovered the scale of his offenses after reviewing hundreds of hours of footage. Dozens of women and children, reportedly aged between 14 and 67, from the small rural community came forward. The earliest complaint dated back to 2004 and the most recent from 2022. Central to the case had been the methods Bai used for medical examinations. Over 4 months, the court heard details of non-consensual touching and inappropriate pelvic examinations conducted by Bai. These acts constitute rape under Norwegian law, which makes a distinction between penetrative and non-penetrative rape. Bai was also shown to have used non-medical equipment, such as deodorant, during these exams, with no justification for doing so. Guy was like, it's a little bit stinky. If I'm gonna have a good time, I gotta put deodorant on you. That's crazy. The defense attorneys had sought a lower sentence of around 17 to 18 years as Bai had pleaded guilty to the rape of 21 victims. Prosecutors told public broadcaster NRK that they were satisfied with the verdict and would review the outcome before considering any appeals. Bai's lawyer also said he would take some time to read the verdict properly before considering whether to appeal. Well, hopefully their appeal falls flat on his fucking face, and I'm glad he actually got prison time. I think it needs to be more prison time, though. I was like, the deodorant thing is doubly wild because, like, there's like aluminum, I think, in some deodorant. I think it's aluminum that's in some deodorants, and that could cause like disruptions in the female reproductive system. Norway has a max sentence of 21 years after completion. They're subject to either release or resentencing. They have a very weird and progressive justice system. Yeah, that's why fucking Anders Breivik is basically staying in a 4-star hotel despite being a terrorist. Like, okay, bro. Archaeologists found a skeleton wearing an amulet that may change the history of Christianity. A 1.37-inch inscription could upend our understanding of the religion's spread. An 1,800-year-old silver amulet discovered buried in a Frankfurt, Germany grave, still next to the chin of the man who wore it, has 18 lines of text written in Latin on just 1.3 inches of silver foil. That could be enough to rewrite the known history of Christianity in the Roman Empire. The amulet and the inscription are the oldest evidence of Christianity found north of the Alps. Every other link to reliable evidence of Christian life in the northern Alpine area of the Roman Empire is at least 50 years younger, all coming from the 4th century AD. But the amulet, found in a grave dated between 230 and 270 AD, now known as the Frankfurt inscription, were made to better decipher the inscription. I think that's pretty fucking cool, actually. I think that's pretty fucking cool that they found something that they didn't think existed in this area as far as Christianity was concerned. And they happened to find a grave that had an inscription purely in Latin in a region where that wasn't a very common language for the time. Rewrite history, 50 years. 50 years is the difference. 50 years is a big fucking leap when you're talking about like 230 AD. That's crazy old, man. This extraordinary find affects many areas of research and will keep science busy for a long time, Ina Hartvig, Frankfurt's head of culture and science, said in a translated statement. This applies to archaeology as well as to religious studies, philology, and anthropology. Such a significant find here in Frankfurt is truly something extraordinary. The amulet was found in what was once the Roman city of Nida at an archaeological site outside of Frankfurt in 2018. During excavation of the area, crews uncovered an entire Roman cemetery, where in the plot designated as Grave 134, a small silver amulet known as a phylactery was located right under the chin of the occupant skeleton. He likely wore it around his neck and was buried with it. Following the find, the Archaeological Museum of Frankfurt restored the silver amulet, which include a thin silver foil with an inscription, as seen by microscopic examinations and x-rays in 2019. The wafer-thin silver foil was too brittle to roll out. In May 2024, a breakthrough came when using a state-of-the-art computer tomograph at the Leibniz Center for Archaeology in Mainz. The challenge in the analysis was that the silver sheet was rolled, but of course, after around 1800 years, it was also crumpled and pressed. Ivan Kalandra, laboratory manager for imaging procedures at the center, said in a statement, "Using the CT, we were able to scan it in at a very high resolution and create a 3D model. The virtual object was then scanned piece by piece, slowly revealing the words, allowing experts to finally get a look at the inscribed text on the individual fragments from the scan. But then came the puzzle work. Marcus Schultz from Frankfurt's Goethe University was able to piece together the 18 lines. Sometimes it took weeks, even months, until I had the next idea," he said in a statement. "I called in experts from the history of theology, among others, and we approached the text together bit by bit and ultimately deciphered it. Some edges were lost due to damage, and some words remain open to discussion. The original inscription is entirely in Latin, unusual for a time that featured amulets written in Greek or Hebrew. The Frankfurt silver inscription, based on the most updated translation, is currently, parentheses, in the name, question mark, of St. Titus." I'm assuming the ones in parentheses are ones that they're not entirely sure, but they're still trying to get an idea, and then the ones not in parentheses are like what it absolutely says and is not open to interpretation. So then the next line is, "Holy, holy, holy, in the name of Jesus Christ, Son of God, the Lord of the world, resists with bracket strength, question mark, all attacks, question mark, / setbacks, question mark, the God, question mark, grants well-being. Admission, this rescue device, question mark, protects. The person who is, surrenders to the will of the Lord Jesus Christ, God's Son, since before Jesus Christ all knees bow, the heavenly ones, the earthly, and the underground, and every tongue confess, parentheses, to Jesus Christ." That's a really fucking wild find. Without a reference to any other faith besides Christianity, which is rare for amulets of this age, the purely Christian inscription not only shows the rise of Christianity to the north, but also the amulet owner's devotion. During the 3rd century AD, association with Christianity was still dangerous, and identifying as a Christian came with great personal risk, especially as Roman Emperor Nero punished Christians with death or even a date in the Colosseum. That was no matter for this man in Frankfurt who took his allegiance to Jesus Christ to his grave. The scientific study is bolstered by references never found so early, such as a mention of St. Titus, a student of the Apostle Paul, the invocation of holy, 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 which wasn't more common until the 4th century AD, and the phrase bend your knees, which is a quote from Paul's letter to the Philippians. "The Frankfurt inscription is a scientific sensation," said Mike Yosef, Frankfurt's mayor, in a statement. "As a result, the history of Christianity in Frankfurt and far beyond will have been turned back by about 50 to 100 years. The first Christian find of the Alps comes from our city. We can be proud of this, especially now, so close to Christmas." That's the end, but that still was really fucking cool. I love archaeological finds, and they're just like, now we have like another piece of history to figure out what was going on in this region, you know? Neat little find, yeah. Could also be a forgery, lots of religious forgeries floating around out there. Why would someone make a religious forgery in 230 to 270 AD, as that is when the dating of the amulet is to, when it was incredibly dangerous to be a Christian back then, and also they mentioned that the inscription was entirely in Latin, when most things were written in Greek or Hebrew? I don't know, Kirsche. Why would anyone lie? I don't know. Can I be fascinated with like an archaeological discovery from 230 AD without thinking someone from 230 AD was lying about it? A time traveler with a really weird sense of humor. Forgery implies there was an original. Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair. There wouldn't be a difference. It wouldn't be a forgery in that case. Does it matter if it's a forgery? The guy was still wearing it in his grave. No, you can't like history. That's a nerd thing. Even if it's a forgery, the guy wouldn't have worn it unless he was a Christian. It could only mean the guy got scammed, not that he was Christian. I mean, yeah, I guess. It could have been someone selling him a scam thing, like people get tattoos in Chinese, and they're like, oh, it says love, but actually it says like pickle fried penis or some shit, right? Yeah, sure. But I don't know, I'd rather be happy they found something archaeologically relevant instead of just nothing, you know?